Hey everyone, welcome back to adding and subtracting integers. This is the second lesson for adding and subtracting integers. In the last lesson we gave you guys some pictures. We wanted to show you that when you added a negative and a negative that the answer was a negative, and the way that we proved that was by starting at 0 and knowing that negative numbers go to the left. The very first number we get to is negative 3. With the plus sign that just means to add on another 5 steps to the left, and when we get there we end up at negative 8. When we showed you the blocks, what that meant was there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red blocks, and that means that, again, the answer is negative 8. What we hope you noticed is that when we have two negatives being added together, that you add the numbers together. 3 plus 5 is 8, and since they were both negative, the answer is negative. When you looked at the next example, we had one number positive and the next number negative. So what that means on the number line is that we want to go 2 steps to the right because positive numbers go to the right, and 5 steps to the left because negative numbers go to the left, and we end up at negative 3. When you look at the blocks, we notice that we had 2 positives and 2 negatives, which equals 0, and then we have 3 negatives left over, which is why the answer ends up being negative 3. What we're hoping people notice is that if you have a positive number and a negative number, that you need to subtract these two numbers because 5 minus 2 is 3, and since there were more negative blocks, that means the answer is negative. Like here, we can look at this. There is a negative number and a positive number. They're different, so we subtract these numbers. 4 minus 3 is 1. There are more positives, so the answer should be positive 1. If we look at the picture, 3 steps to the left, 4 steps to the right, what do you know? We end up right at positive 1. If we look at the blocks, you notice that there is one more black box than there are red boxes. So when we take away the 0 pair, all we have left is one black box. So here are the rules. When two numbers have the same sign, either being both negative or both positive, such as this problem, you write the common sign and then you just add the numbers together. So again, 3 plus 5 is 8. They were both negative, so the answer is negative. If two numbers have different signs, you subtract the numbers and then write the sign of the integer with the greatest amount of blocks, or the greatest distance from 0. So in this situation, you notice there is negative 3, positive 5. We subtract these numbers, and so we get 2. There were more positives, and that's why the answer is positive 2. We can use this in this situation and simply ask ourselves the questions without actually having to draw the blocks. Are they the same or different? Are they both positive and both negative, or is one positive and one negative? Well, in this case, one is positive, one is negative. They're different. So we subtract these numbers. 11 minus 7 is 4. There are more negatives, and that's why the answer is negative 4. When we look at this one, we have negative 15 and negative 24. They're the same. They would all be red blocks, so we count them up. 15 red blocks and 24 red blocks adds up to 39 red blocks, and that's why the answer would be negative 39. If we go here, 1 is negative, 1 is positive, so we subtract. 96 minus 5 is 91. There are obviously more negatives, and so that's why the answer is negative 91. If we make a longer problem, you just have to do it step by step. We have negative 31 plus positive 42. They're different, so we subtract. The difference between them is 11, and there are more positives, so it's positive 11. Now we have another problem to do. Negative 11 and positive 11 and negative 9, they're different. We subtract. We get 2. There are more positives. That's why the answer is positive 2. Hopefully you're noticing there's a pretty easy pattern to be able to figure out here. You're just asking yourself 3 questions, and I'll show it to you on this next problem. It's kind of a long one, but we get lots of practice. So we look at the first 2 problems. This one's positive, this one's negative. Are they the same or different? They're different. This one's negative, this one's positive. We subtract. So we get the answer 2. Is the answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative because the larger number was negative. So we go to the next one. And what we want to do is make sure that you guys know that we've got negative 2 and positive 16. Once again, they're different. So we subtract. We get 14, And then the answer is going to be positive 14 because 16 is larger than 2. When we look at the next one, we end up getting positive 14 and negative 2. So once again, 14 and negative 2 get us, they're different, so we subtract, we get 12. The answer is positive because there are more positives. And lastly, we subtract. Positive 12, negative 11, that's right, we subtract. 12 minus 11 is 1, and the answer is going to be positive 1 because there are more positives. And that's all we're doing right now. We're going to be able to give the kids a couple of problems to make them challenged, but this is the basic stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. This is one of the most important things that kids can learn in 7th grade, so I really want to make sure everyone gets it. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I'll talk to you guys next time.